8% of the U.S. population cannot read. 8% of the U.S. population cannot read. 8% of the United States population cannot read. I just felt like it was important to say that 3 times because to me it's mind-boggling that in 2017, 8% of the United States population cannot read. Well, apparently you can read, or at least muddle through Facebook if you're watching us this evening on a Sunday night on the River's Edge. You can listen to us tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., riversedgepgh.com, Pittsburgh's voice for local music, broadcasting here from Mr. Small's Theater, Pittsburgh's local music radio station, the River's Edge. You can message us right now on Twitter at RiverTalkPGH if you're watching the live video on Sunday night, or you can hit us up in the Facebook Live video. We've got a lot of loaded statements for today's show. One is the fact that 16 million Americans cannot read. That is 8% of the population, according to the BBC. And there's one woman who actually said that she wants to learn to read so she can be a better mother. And we've also got a statement from the PWSA, an update, actually, about the PWSA from the company who they contracted, which is pretty interesting. UPMC makes a big announcement. Non-smokers fight back. We have a new deluxe flight option that I think should exist. And in a year of epic birthday parties, we ask why Michael Cohen has chosen not to throw himself into the party ring. So that is the question I think we should start with. Why are you here on River Talk instead of throwing an epic birthday party? I was just at Liz Tripoli's party on Friday.
Yesterday, was an awesome party.
It was an awesome party. Last night, Jeff Benton's birthday party, which was fantastic.
Right. I forgot about that.
I had an amazing birthday party. Krish Mohan just had a great birthday party. But here you are, Michael Cohen, not giving the people anything. How selfish. The rest of us gave other people a great party, and here you are on River Talk.
I think I never know what to do for my birthday, partially because ever since I was relatively young, like when I in high school, I worked at a Baskin Robbins, and I would often intentionally schedule myself to work
on your birthday,
on my birthday, or like someday, like in my early 20s, when I was afraid of losing my youth, I would schedule things for just myself to go do that would like prove to me that I was still young, like sledding or graffiti or whatever. And now as an older person, like I'll oftentimes slip out of town for my birthday. Like me and my ex-girlfriend used to have a tradition of going camping, like winter camping, you know. But
that sounds horrible.
Well, I mean, we lived in North Carolina, so but still,
okay, so that's not as bad.
Yeah, it was
then.
but we like the only time you can go camping in the Great Dismal Swamp is in the winter because it's like when the mosquitoes
are dead.
Go. Yeah, so I mean, but it's still like kind of rainy and like, yeah, I don't know. I there's a part of me that likes just powering through my birthday. I also think like as a comic or as like a activist or as like a puppeteer, like I get a lot of attention and it feels like for things I actually do.
Yes.
As opposed to just like showing up. Which
See,
is
I just feel like my birth was such an important moment in Pittsburgh history and really world history that I think it's something that needs to be celebrated. So I was driving down Grant Avenue yesterday, and I was just really thinking, just to kind of bring us back on point, holy shit, there are a lot of signs. I couldn't imagine trying to drive down even Grant Avenue here in Millville, not being able to read anything.
Well, our signage is designed for the illiterate. Like, it all has symbols and shapes.
But they say things like no turn on red. You have to be able to read what the word red means.
Yeah.
And the word turn. How do you not know that?
Or you need to know what that sign hanging there means. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can get through a lot faking it.
Probably, but man, can you imagine someone out there driving that has never... That is like, does not know how to read. Like I just everything we do, you read. Like everything I do, I read.
But like, have you ever been to Montreal or like somewhere that you don't speak the language?
No, actually.
Okay, because like if you're driving and it says like, you know, there's a sign in the place that usually has the no turn on red and it says no something something, you got a pretty good idea what that is. You know what I mean? You can kind of suss it out. I don't know. But yeah, no, I mean, it would be crippling right now to not be able to read it. In a few years, it's going to be really easy. We're shifting to emojis.
Actually, that's first off.
We're shifting to a lot of
We're
audio.
We're shifting to a lot of emojis and things like that, which is horrible. First off, I blame the Oxford Dictionary for the destruction of language and the illiteracy in the United States.
Also,
but
the Amazon Dot and Google Home are making being illiterate a lot easier.
But actually, the emoji thing, I read an article on this. It's not as eye-opening. It's not as all-encompassing as we like as people who want to dumb down society by using pictures and symbols instead of actual words and language want you to think, because apparently, like, the Facebook thumbs up in some cultures is extremely offensive.
Oh, and, yeah. Means up your ass.
Yeah, and things, there are all of these different things that we act in Western society. We believe that everybody thinks the same way that we do, and here that's not true. So even if you try to move to a world where you're too stupid to talk and use words and actually write language, you're still going to offend people. You're still not going to be able to communicate 100% with other people because different cultures view things different ways. Again, I blame the Oxford Dictionary. I blame our society for not having proper education funding in some areas. That's one of the big things that the BBC discovered, was that it has to do with poverty and people who live in poorer areas, and also people who have learning disabilities not getting the aid that they need to learn how to read.
Bring it back to the Oxford Dictionary. I saw a headline that made me think of you the other day. I was at work, and whenever I go upstairs, I see the TV is on, and there's usually the news. And it said, North Korea to White House. Take threat of A-bomb. And in quotation marks, it said literally. And I was like, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, someone down at the NVKA or whatever, you know, the North Korean like media outlet or whatever is like, you know, it hits upon this gem that we've changed the word literally to mean literally or figuratively, and it's like, let's troll the Americans.
That's fantastic.
Tell them to take the threat of the nuclear bomb literally.
Yes. I love it. See, they understand us better than we understand ourselves, basically. But it is crazy, and I just thought, you know, can you imagine? And in Pittsburgh, you know, they had that big survey, that big study that came out that said that we're one of the most educated cities in the United States, and I thought it was rubbish.
That's
because,
shocking.
Yeah, you could walk down any street and you're like, huh? But I've never met a single person in my life, and maybe you have. Maybe Zach, you have. We've got Zach Fell with us here, Michael Cohen, River's Edge. Maybe you've met someone who doesn't know how to read. I've never met anyone who can't read. And I grew up in Westmoreland County, where most of the people are perfectly fine, but you also have like some poorer areas like trailer parks and stuff like that, and every one of those people knew how to read.
Here's the thing with folks who don't know how to read, is a lot of them are very good at faking it in much the same way that I explained it to you earlier. Where
you can just kind of figure things out.
Yeah,
make connections.
I mean, right? Because think about it, all the space in your brain that's taken up by literally by knowing how to read and all that stuff is at work in theirs as well. But like essentially like figuring out shortcuts in much the same way that like if you didn't speak the same language as someone, like you could still communicate through stuff. Their brain is working 100 miles an hour putting shit together. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times you may have. But you just don't notice it.
And I just was thinking,
very good at covering.
The real tragedy in this is if you don't know how to read. You know, when your mother dies and you don't know how to read, you don't know the difference between some corporate funeral home chain versus a family-owned chain, not a chain, but a family-owned business like Hahn Funeral Home. And, you know, you may end up not getting the green burial that your mother would want when she passes away, or your grandmother or whatever. And you may end up you may end up going to like one of those funeral homes like we spoke about in the weird news of a few weeks ago, where there's the blood that was seeping out of the coffin and everything else. You may end up at one of those types of funeral homes on accident if you can't read.
Yeah, I mean
that's a tragedy.
Again, I feel like this is one of those things where as soon as you walk into Hans, you know that it's not the same as the large chain funeral homes.
Okay, so you kind of get that
You get
feeling.
an immediately different vibe.
But would you even know
you're intuiting, you're putting two and two together.
But would you know to get to Hans? That's the thing. Would you be able to read the literature to get to Hans? Will you find
Hans if you can't read? I don't know.
Yeah. So, very tragic.
They should make their sign in Braille.
Hey, Zach.
Yeah.
Where are you off to?
You know what time it is, man.
We're in the middle of a show.
Yeah, but I gotta get my fix. I got a smoke break, man.
Smoke break, man. We don't. I don't get any breaks. Come on, it's an hour show.
You're on the clock, man.
Hour break.
On the clock? Who's paying for what?
That's what we pay you the big bucks for.
Thinks he deserves a smoke break. Apparently, in Japan, there's a company that agrees with me, not with Zach, that smokers are out there taking too many breaks. And you work in the restaurant industry. I imagine you have a lot of smokers that go out and take smoke breaks, try to just like leave in the middle of a broadcast to go smoke.
Oh yeah, food service fits it in around. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly worked in coffee shops and ice cream shops where it was very pronounced when people would leave to go smoke and leave you hanging at the register.
Well, a Japanese company, has decided that non-smokers are now going to get extra days off each year to try to make up for all of the time lost by smokers who go out on smoke breaks. And that's true. There was a woman at one of the jobs where I worked who always went out on smoke breaks, and she went to a different job, and she ended up quitting. She didn't like it because she couldn't go smoke whenever she wanted to.
Right. Yeah, I mean...
Like, that's crazy. I wish I could... Like, why don't we get these types of breaks as non-smokers? Why can't we just go out and do whatever we want whenever we want?
Here's my question that I posed to you, because I used to be a smoker. From 12 to 19, I smoked a pack a day, and then I quit. And when I quit, I insisted that I get what I called space out breaks.
Okay.
Where I would just go and stand outside and space out and breathe some air.
But most places are going to yell at you for that. Now, if you're out there smoking, they're going to let you get away with it. And some of the stuff that I saw on social media was such rubbish. People are out there literally comparing smokers. They were saying that, smoking's okay, going on smoke breaks is okay. We shouldn't yell at these people because, or they smell it's like smoke, but it's no different than someone who wears perfume. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? Smokers wear perfume too. So it doesn't
also
even make
get
any
your perfume
sense.
out of my face. It smells
I do agree with
fucking
that.
terrible.
I hate perfume. I hate
my God.
cologne.
Please,
just wear deodorant.
A little light deodorant is fine.
Yes, that's all you need. And please wear deodorant. That's one thing I will stress. So many people like nowadays just don't wear deodorant. Either that or they have such bad BO that they don't use enough deodorant. I'm a big proponent of deodorant. That's why the United States is far superior to many European countries because of our use of deodorant. So
it's the only thing we have on them at this point.
It's a pretty big thing. It's a pretty big thing. There's nothing worse than the stench of a human being walking because they decided not to wear deodorant. But I'm a huge fan of this new rule. I'm a big fan of the idea of giving non-smokers some more time off to make up for the abuses of the smokers.
It. Yeah, I mean...
And the thing is, it's like one of the big arguments is, oh, well, we're not affecting anyone else. We're not hurting anyone else. So first off, if I'm out there and I'm working my entire shift and you're continually leaving to take a break, well, that does affect me in a big way because now I'm pulling the extra weight and I'm picking up your slack. But beyond that, secondhand smoke... So basically, there is no filtration system invented that will eradicate or even limit the effect of secondhand smoke on an individual. So it does affect other people in a big way.
I mean, generally in 2017, smoke breaks happen outside, though, right?
Sure.
Here's where, and granted, I have a very particular position at the place that I work, where I am kind of the only person doing what I do, and so other people leaving doesn't really affect me. I just compensate by working a bit slower. Like, people see me staring at my phone all the time when I'm supposed to, like, when, like, in between stuff to do, and they're like, how do you do that? I'm like, I never leave for a smoke break.
Yeah.
I'm like, I take my break in minute-long intervals, futzing with Twitter instead, when you guys go out and take yours in a block in 10 minutes or whatever.
Those smokers do the same thing, though. They come in and they're on their phones all the time.
No, they're line cooks. Those motherfuckers got to hustle. I do not envy them. They got a hard job.
Well, where I work, at least, the smokers are out on smoke breaks, and then they come back and they sit their ass down, and then they pull out their phones. So
That's a little much.
They're taking advantage of it in an extreme way. I love this idea. I think we need to roll this out across the board.
Absolutely.
I think this needs to take place here in the United States, and I don't know. Maybe what we could do is we could use the time. No, that wouldn't work, because the thing is like I was going to say, we could use maybe the extra time to teach people to read, but those people who can't read, they have a hard time getting jobs in the first place.
Well, and
it's really, I'm sorry, that is so tragic.
And if we're giving days for increased productivity, like, can I get an extra day a year for like never coming in hungover because I don't really drink, or like, can I like what else can I get extra days
for? See, the thing is like, I don't know, because at my job I go in hungover all the time. All the time. Sometimes I go in drunk, but I still get more work done than half the assholes there. No, I don't go in drunk necessarily, but
and that's
but I still go in and I still outwork everyone.
That's my excuse too. When people are like, you're on your phone an awful lot, I'm like, listen, I'm not a good food runner, okay? I'm the best food runner. And there's two ways to understand that, and I mean it, both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I still crush more than anyone else, even though it looks like I'm slacking off.
Yeah, and look at it. I mean,
could I do a better job? Yeah.
He's here on his birthday.
Is anyone else doing a better job?
No.
Nah.
But he's here on his birthday. Michael Cohen, so dedicated, so committed to work that even on his birthday cannot bring him from entertaining the masses. So,
well, thank you.
Golf clap for you. What is the solution to this literacy problem? I was just floored when I heard this story. I think first off we need to move to county-wide school districts, get rid of these individual school districts. We're going to talk about the property tax situation here in a little bit, and my claim on Facebook, which I will make now before you, that we raise property taxes immediately across the board. But I think we need to move away from the individual school districts, move back to, or move to a countywide school district, which they do in other places. That way the money can be spread around. People who live in poorer areas can get the same education as people who live in richer areas. And those rich people are still going to want to have their kids with a proper education, getting a proper education. So they're still going to be willing to fund the money to make sure that the education is sound. But then they will just have to spread that money across the board, not just to those specific areas.
The thing is, you that's how you perpetuate intergenerational poverty, is when you have bad schools in poor areas, getting an A at that school doesn't get you into a college that getting a B at the high school I went to gets you into. You know what I mean? Because and furthermore, they don't help you get A's at those schools, right? They don't try to stop you from dropping out. They don't do anything for you. And
at the high schools?
Well, I'm talking...
maybe where you grew up. I know in this area, even if you're in a good school district, they still will just move you right along. There's no fear of failing, ever. I mean, unless you, really try. And I'm not talking about not turning in your homework. I'm talking about, you just stop going.
Yeah.
And then there's a chance you could fail a class. But they literally just try to move you along, even in some of the best school districts in this area, at least. Maybe not in other areas.
My point is simply in the better ones, they help you get the grades and stay in school. That's what I'm saying. As opposed to the poor ones where I think... And it's also shown that, right, that in these, quote, better school districts, they use actual law enforcement a lot less. So disputes within the school are oftentimes... resolved through non-technically legal means, right?
I would agree with that for sure.
Which means that more kids wind up staying in those schools and don't get shoved into the school-to-prison pipeline, winding up in juvie. And after you go to juvie, you're going to have a really hard time getting back on your feet at that point. So, I mean, yeah, I think having these poorer schools it totally creates intergenerational
Well, I think one of the
poverty.
biggest problems,
Cements it.
at least in this area, because I know where I grew up and where I went to school, it was supposed to be one of the better school districts. But I do know that they would just push people along. You had certain teachers who didn't want to, they wanted to be friends with everyone, so they would give them all of the answers to all of the tests the week before so they could literally just read the questions and answers and come in and ace
that's how
the
I got
test.
through high school. I got through high school. Anyone who looked at one of my transcripts would be so suspicious because whatever you needed to get through a class, that was what I had. If you needed a 70 to pass, I had a 70. If you needed a 60 to pass, I had a 60, and it's because teachers were floating me anywhere from like 4 to 15 points every single time.
And that's how it was where I went. But I think the big difference was, so for example, the school I went to, which is Norwin, we would go there, and there was another neighboring school district, and I learned this from my time working for the State House of Representatives. We went there to do a program. They had the entire middle school available in the auditorium, and it was like the size of a home room at Norwin. But I guarantee you, their class sizes were probably larger than what I had at Norwin. So
They just had less teachers.
Less teachers, less resources. They're taxed to oblivion in that town. It's actually, they were taxed so high that the state actually came in and said, no more. You can't tax them anymore.
Wow.
They literally, they don't have the money to give. You literally can't get any more money from these people. But again, you live in an area where there are not as many property owners, so that probably hurts with bringing in income for that school. Here in Pennsylvania, the schools are primarily funded through property taxes, so you have that issue as well. But I think the education's a big thing. I think we need to stop destroying real language. I do blame the Oxford Dictionary. I think that they are making... So we as a society are deciding that being dumb is cool and talking with moving pictures is somehow intellectual instead of using big boy words and putting together sentences and things like that. We would rather just post some pictures like a small child instead of talking like an adult.
I really think that pictures communicate in ways that words can't.
I think words can communicate in ways that pictures can't.
Both.
You can describe things in detail with
both
words.
is the answer, okay? Because what you have is you have a layered brain, right, that evolved different portions at different times.
I have an adult brain. I can read sentences.
You are both empowered and limited by the English language, okay? So like if there is not a word for a particular thing, how do you express that idea? Right?
In a sentence, using multiple words strung together to form a thought
like for example,
to explain something.
When I was in these weird left activist circles, it's common knowledge that like political theory basically doesn't get written in English. It gets written in Italian, it gets written in French, there are a few it gets written in German, and there are languages that political theory gets written in because they're expressive languages, and then you basically have to like struggle to dumb it down to try to shoehorn it into English. But that, I mean...
Or you just use a like a few more words.
No,
to get your
but
point
I'm talking about like whole concepts. Not that I want to promote her in any way, but like, have you ever read this book Anthem by Ayn Rand?
I know of Ayn Rand, but I have not read it.
So in this book, the character is struggling. It's this very collective society, and the character is struggling to express an idea, and that idea is I. Like that idea is the idea of themselves as the individual, but there's no word for it in that language. Like that's the kind of thing that I'm trying to talk about.
You will never solve that with pictures. It's a bad idea, and I blame Oxford for making the case that somehow this is okay, that somehow using words that are like just stupid and silly, or actually taking a picture and saying that that's a word, they're basically saying that it's acceptable to be stupid. They're basically saying that 8% of the population not being able to read, that's A-okay with us because they could just communicate using hieroglyphics. Hieroglyphics at least require some sort of skill set instead of just a stupid smiling, laughing, crying face, which is just rubbish, and that's how you get 8% unemployment. That's how you get 8% unemployment by...
You mean illiteracy, you mean?
Yes, illiteracy. Yeah, and unemployment. That's how you get 8% unemployment because people can't read and then they can't apply for jobs.
I just think a GIF nails it sometimes.
I just think it's like being in middle school. It's like being a child.
How did you pronounce that?
A GIF?
Isn't it called a GIF, a GIF, a GIF? I don't know. Whatever the hell
It's
it is.
not
If
a
somebody-
word. It's a fucking acronym.
Exactly.
There's no proper way to pronounce
It's
it.
not a word because people in this world do not use words anymore. We're dumbing society down, and that's where you get 8% illiteracy in the United States because we have decided that it's socially acceptable to no longer use words.
Wait, hold on. Back over here to Zach. So there is a GIF, and then
GIF,
there is a web page.
How do you say it? Is it
Yeah,
GIF?
hold
Is it
on.
GIF?
There is a web page that many GIFs are hosted on, spelled GIPHY. How would you pronounce GIPHY? Giphy?
How many different ways can you pronounce
That's Jiffy.
read, read, whatever? There are different pronunciations
Sure.
for words with minor differences.
Yeah.
You got GIF, you got GIF. GIF
Is it
makes
GIF?
peanut butter.
Is it GIF? Is it GIF? Is it JIF? I don't know. If you know, message us on the Facebook
Do
chat.
not. Don't message
or
us
on
about
Twitter
GIFs.
at RiverTalkPGH and tell me if you can still use words in 2017 or has the Oxford Dictionary, the gutter of dictionaries in the world, soiled your mind. That's what I want to know. We've got the weird news. We've got a few weird news stories. Let's roll with the music right now here on the River's Edge.
It's my linguistic squat on the north side.
Welcome to the River's Edge Radio Network. Maybe I should, do we have a pen here? Do we have a pen? Oh, we've got a pen. A pen that you won't be able to see because it's green if you're watching the video. Let's try to do our weird news stories with pictures. Because
Okay.
that's, the way to do things nowadays. So
Ooh, I
we've
love
got
this.
let's see, we've got I'm gonna draw a picture here of should I tell the people what it is?
This is the best game, right? This is Pictionary that we're about to play.
So I'm drawing a picture of somebody who, and I don't even know how to describe this.
Okay, how many syllables? 2.
I don't know. It's a
film.
whole story. That's the thing. So we've got a teacher. I'm drawing a teacher.
All right.
This is a teacher with horns because
Okay.
she is dressed up as a vampire for Halloween and she's taking it too seriously. Too seriously. A teacher, her name is Heather Marcotte, 28 years old, is charged and was arrested for allegedly biting a child, a small boy, on October 24th. So she's now arrested for that. The son's mother was livid, of course, and it says here that she told investigators that she left a mark on the child when her mouth accidentally hit the child's face. And she then told
I see
investigators
how
that
that
she
happens,
grew
though.
frustrated and agitated with his behavior. So that is according to a newspaper called the Times. Yes.
That is two different stories. Because I could totally see that you're coming in, you know how you fuck with little kids, you're like, I'm gonna bite you, and then your teeth hit his face. But when you say first that you became agitated, now you're sending mixed messages.
She's pulling some Luis Suarez shit in the classroom right there.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. You don't know who that is? He is he's a world-renowned soccer player who keeps getting in trouble for biting people
okay.
on the field. So, yeah, I just think that she was playing a vampire for Halloween. I think she got into the role. I think she took it too seriously. And I think that she just went a little overboard. Maybe we should give her a break.
Yeah.
Maybe she was just trying to teach the kids how to play pretend.
This is our first show since Halloween. Brian, what were you for Halloween?
I just wore a creepy horse mask.
Ah, yes, classic.
Yeah.
I hosted a show, or I did stand-up in between bands with Ian Insect at a show at Hambones, the Hambones Halloween Hoedown.
Nice.
And I did a set as Ted Kaczynski.
Oh, very good.
The
I like
feline
it.
Unabomber, yes.
So do you want to use the pen, or are you just going to use words?
I will go ahead and use the pen
Using the
here.
pen for our second weird story. That's right, we have not one, not two, but three weird stories to keep the Mon Monster at bay, where we save the entire city of Pittsburgh each and every week from total destruction
tell 'em
from
why
the
we do
Mon
it.
Monster beast. And typically we use words like adults. We are big adult people here. At least we pretend to. So Michael is drawing a picture here, and it looks like I'm just trying to guess here based on the picture he is drawing. It is either some sort of a martini drink with olives, or it is a woman with boobs who has... Okay, so it's a woman with boobs or olives that she's holding up near her chest, and it looks like there is an umbilical cord that is coming from her stomach to some sort of a cage where she is housing a turtle. Is that what the story is? Is it a story about how women can give birth to turtles based on an umbilical cord?
You're very close. You're very close.
Can you explain what this picture means?
Sure.
Can we show the picture to the people watching at home?
We've got this. This is a picture of an external womb.
Okay.
All right. Scientists have recently, I'll pull this up again. Scientists recently successfully bred a lamb, I believe it is. Let me get this up. Yeah, a full-size lamb.
Wow.
Inside of an external womb called a biobag.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So did they literally take genes and put them together?
Ectogenesis or extracorporeal pregnancy is the words.
So what does it mean? So basically, is that like them taking the two genes and putting them together in this bag, or?
They don't really mention exactly where it starts. That's okay. A great question.
Good to know. So
here's the.
So we've got a bag. There's a bag, and basically they have the creature in it. So I want to know, where the genes come from. Now, is it connected from an umbilical cord to the mother as you drew in this picture?
No, it's not.
See, that's misleading, and that's the thing. So you drew this picture. You thought you were doing some shit, and here I have no idea what you're saying, what you were saying based on that picture. But then when you used actual words, I was able to understand you because I am a literate human being. At least I pretend to be.
Wait, when I used words, you could understand me.
Or I could read it if I read it.
So like an oral history, if you will. I gave you the oral history of this.
But I can also read it from your phone.
You can.
So because I know how to read words.
Yes.
And that's important in today's society.
It is. No, it is very important in today's society. We're moving away from it, though.
We shouldn't be. We are debasing society.
That's what the Google Home and Amazon Dot are all about.
And they're wrong.
I agree. They're totally wrong. They're little snitches in your house.
So I have this idea for a new airplane ticket. So you've got coach, right? You've got first class. And then I think you should have sexy time, like a sexy class, because there were two strangers that were ticketed on an airplane because it was a Delta flight because they were having sex on the plane. And I feel like that could be a marketing option. I mean, does it really, in most cases, does it matter if someone's having sex on the plane? Does that affect your trip?
Yeah, not at all.
Maybe if they're having sex, over you or near you or...
Still into it.
Or anything. Well, I could see where, you don't want to have to look at another person's body. You don't even want to look at some people's faces, let alone, the whole body.
Maybe it's just me. It probably is just me, but there's literally no two people that I wouldn't want to watch have sex. Just not from an arousal perspective, but just I find it fucking fascinating. I was actually talking to a partner about this just the other night. I was like, yeah, I can't think of any two people I wouldn't want to watch bone just because I'm so fascinated by how other people...
So maybe...
It's such a mystery because porn never shows you how people actually have sex, right? So unless you are engaged in these situations where your friends or other people in your life are having sex, you just have no idea how other people fuck.
So maybe this is a real opportunity for Delta then, where they could not only sell the sexy room suites where people could get it on,
they sell the voyeur seats.
What's that?
They sell the voyeur seats.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They can still watch looking in from
exactly. They can have one of those mirrors that you can only see one way through, and they could charge you a higher admission to be entertained. They used to have the movies in the airplanes. This would be kind of like that. It would be a flight, a dinner, and a show. All in one for a reasonable price through Delta. I think this is something we can market. I think this is something that we could really make it big on.
I'm with you, except for one thing. Because I'm probably in the extreme minority there, maybe instead of charging extra to watch people have sex, we can acknowledge that most people don't want to watch folks have sex, and 2 people can pay and pick up part of the tab on the 2 seats next to them.
Uh-huh.
So if you're in a row of 4 people, you basically pay for 1 additional seat, and each of the people stuck on the sides of you pay half as much to tolerate you having sex.
There we go. I like that. So you can offer discounts and
I fly
increases.
half price, and the people next to me get to fuck.
I think that's a great idea. I like it. See, we're innovators here on the River's Edge Radio Network. Speaking of innovation, UPMC has come out with a new plan to spend billions of dollars into 3 new hospitals. And we're going to talk about that right after the break.
Hey River's Edge listeners, Alex here from the Mike Sasson Show, and boy have I got to tell you about Salon 22, a small local business located right here in Millville. I got my hair colored there about 2 weeks ago, and I still can't stop staring at myself. They use this awesome new technique called color melting to make me look like a mermaid. But don't worry, if mermaid hair isn't your thing, they'll meet all your hair goals, with things like balayage, rose gold, unicorn hair, ombre, as well as monochromatic color, which is your standard basic coloring. Seriously, they do it all, and they do it good. Check Salon 22 out on Facebook and mention this ad when you make your appointment to receive a free color lock service to help preserve your color. It's a $20 value for free. I'm not kidding. Book your appointment now by calling 412-822-7222. That's 412-822-7222.
So Nicholas asks what I'm drinking, and I'm drinking blue milk because I have to deal with all of these Nerf herders who don't know how to read. We've also got some other comments. Jif is a peanut butter. I think that makes a lot more sense. And I like the fact that Krish follows the Harvard Dictionary much better than the Oxford Dictionary, which, as I have said, is the gutter of dictionaries in the world. So definitely low class.
I seeded the GIF debate when it was pointed out to me that the G stands for graphic. So
for graphic, I don't even care because it's just stupid. It's stupid. So UPMC told all of their employees across the world to watch a live stream of a giant announcement that they had coming out about 3 new hospitals that they were launching. But I was curious as to how those employees were going to watch the live stream since UPMC doesn't have any employees. So I was a little confused in their statement and in their request for those employees to watch that about this announcement, in which they are going to spend $3 billion to build new hospitals, and I'm wondering if they will be accepting donations. I am wondering if they will be paying taxes on these facilities. Those are the questions that I am asking, and I really would like to demand that UPMC pay back all of the money that they received in donations from people that they are now blacklisting from care. I would like to see UPMC start paying their fair share in taxes. Do you know that UPMC has more property than any other industry, any other organization in the city of Pittsburgh, and they pay taxes on none of them, including the top floor of the U.S. Steel Tower, the USX Tower.
Damn.
Yeah, they have the top floor there. They rent that one, but that place is pretty fly, and all I'm saying is UPMC has a lot of money, and they don't need to do what they do and limit the people that they're carrying. And it drives me nuts. Like, the shit that they do is so horrible, and I just want them to start paying that money back. For example, north of the city, they accept Highmark people because they're not trying to drive the hospitals out of business in that area. So basically, people who live in Pittsburgh, the way I'm interpreting it, we don't matter as much as the people who live north of the city. Is that the way you would interpret it? If I'm not allowed to go to the hospital, I'm being forbidden from entering one of these facilities, but if you live north of the city, you can.
I mean, to me, that's just late capitalism, right? That's like the Uberization.
But this is non-profit. They are non-profit, so they should not be worrying about running people out of business, because their job should just be about providing care as affordably as they can and providing for their employees, which I guess they're doing a pretty fine job of, since, again, they don't have any employees.
What, do they just have contractors?
I don't know. They made a legal case. It was funny because during Ravenstall's administration, and this is one thing I will give him credit for. You can't give Ravenstall credit for a lot of things, but one of the things you can give him credit for is he was after UPMC to make them pay taxes, pay their fair share. Of course, Peduto, who I'm assuming is receiving kickbacks from UPMC, because immediately, as soon as Peduto took office, he stopped the lawsuit. The city was actually engaged in a lawsuit, or in the process of engaging in a lawsuit against UPMC to force them to pay taxes on all of this property that they own, and pay taxes based on employees and all of these other things. And basically, UPMC
that's incredible. Yeah, I always say that when the Republicans aren't around to do the shiesty stuff they do, the Democrats do it for them, you know?
Yeah, well, everyone's a Democrat here in Pittsburgh.
That's what I'm saying. In places where the Republicans don't have enough of a foothold,
the Democrats will jump in
to gut unions or whatever. Yeah, then that's when you see the Democrats go ahead and do it.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what happened. Peduto took over in the administration and immediately got rid of the lawsuit. But whenever that lawsuit was going on and taking place, UPMC claimed that they had 0 employees. And the courts agreed with them.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So they want to spend $3 billion in total to build these new hospitals. They're supposed to be state-of-the-art. They're going to be working with Microsoft with some of these hospitals to bring technology in and things like that. But I just want to know who will have access to the hospitals, who will be able to receive this care. Will they start refunding the money from the people who have donated to UPMC that had Highmark insurance that have now been blacklisted from the care? I think that's an important question to ask. I think it's time that UPMC starts paying up.
Fair. Also, we have some local celebrity listeners right now.
We do. Okay.
We got the notorious Krish Mohan, who is a local stand-up comic who's hits the road all the time, goes all over the U.S. touring. And we got Jess Duvall, the notorious graffiti artist known as Vamp, who caught some charges last year. We had Gems on.
I'm assuming she knows how to read.
This year.
I'm assuming all of these fine people know how to read, but they probably couldn't make it into a UPMC hospital. Unless they have the right insurance.
That is quite the callback to everything else we've talked about. Well played.
All right. So, as you know, if you've been watching my Facebook, if you've been paying attention,
we got Liz Victory watching. Who are these other two people?
We've got lots of course, everybody wants to watch it and see us. We're big shots in the Pittsburgh scene, huge celebrities, broadcasting from Mr. Small's Theater on the premier local music radio station in Pittsburgh at riversedgepgh.com.
Boom.
Lots of traffic coming through for today's show. And we've had some big topics we've talked about. In case you're late to the party, why is it that 8% of the United States population cannot read? We've talked about sex on planes, and we've talked about UPMC and their screwing the Pittsburgh citizen. Yet the people of the North, maybe they, I don't know, because they're up higher on the world, I guess. Maybe they view them as greater than us. I don't know. I just would like to see I would like to see fair and equitable treatment here in the Steel City, the city of Pittsburgh. That's what I want to see. But I also want to see property taxes rise. I think property taxes need to soar. It's something I've been calling for on Facebook. I would like to see property taxes rise across the board. Right now, they are putting through a voter initiative. It's going to appear this coming Tuesday on Election Day, and basically they want to allow local municipalities and school districts to use alternative tax type of taxation, and allow them to get rid of property taxes and go to a different style. Which Critics say that that will affect the poor mostly and lower middle class because those people cannot always afford to buy a house. I, on the other hand, would like to see property taxes increase. I would like to see the state get involved in raising property taxes. We can eliminate the deficit with more property taxes.
Can't we please just start taxing the universities? Like, what do we have to do? Like, do we need bayonets? Like, what do we need to get money out of those people?
Well, it's kind of a weird situation because some of the universities, the state-owned ones, actually receive taxpayer money in order to supposedly run at a lower cost, even though when you look at the amount of grants that you can get at a private university, a lot of times in Pennsylvania, the price difference between a private school and a public school is very
okay, but like
small.
How do we stick up CMU? Like they just hang out in our city.
Maybe we can
developing war weapons, flying killer robots to murder people overseas, and we don't even make them pay taxes for that space. That's incredible.
Well, look at UPMC. They have like they have the highest office space in the city, in the largest skyscraper in the city of Pittsburgh, and they don't pay anything. Highmark doesn't pay anything in taxes. Allegheny Health Network, they pay nothing in taxes. And it would be one thing if this was a hospital, either of these hospitals, whether it be Allegheny Health Network or UPMC. UPMC got the ball rolling, but then Highmark, Allegheny Health Network, they're combined. They were quick to jump on the bandwagon of limiting care and still accepting those donations.
I just want to tax tax CMU out of existence. Like, just everything they make there is so creepy. Have you seen the new Werner Herzog film, Lo and Behold?
I haven't.
Half of it's about UPMC and how they have basically created like a mind-reading helmet.
Are you talking about CMU?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, CMU, and how they in addition to like designing killer robots, they have also designed like essentially like an interrogation helmet that they put on your head that
Wow.
can see what parts of your brain light up when you're shown different things. And
That's
so
crazy.
like, you know how, or maybe you don't know, but like if you're in police interrogation, they'll be like, do you know this person? And they'll show you a picture. And here, you don't have to answer because a different part of your brain lights up when you see a face you recognize than when you see a face you don't recognize.
Wow.
And they could do the same thing for pictures of places or playback or read back conversations. All these sorts of things where they can basically just show you stimuli and read your brain.
Well, that's all news to me. Yeah, I did not know about that.
I went to the documentary screening of this, and I asked one of these fucking scientists on the panel. I was like, so like, do you guys feel like do you not feel responsible when these things get inevitably weaponized and used against a populace? And the guy was like, oh no, I just build stuff. It's not my fault how people use it. Just like Manhattan
They have
Project.
a beautiful campus there.
Manhattan Project level sociopaths.
Yeah, their campus is beautiful, though. I love the
yeah.
CMU campus.
Oh.
I love the Gates Hillman building, which is one of their newer buildings. And that's one thing I will give them credit for. When they build newer buildings, they use modern technology in a way that's really, really cool. It's not the typical, we're going to call it modern so we can be cheap.
Right.
They don't go that route, which I'm a big fan
Yeah, no,
of.
they've got lots of money and they love to show it off, and they build their war weapons in a really nice space.
Well, talking about weapons or about robots in that sense, one thing I will say about UPMC that is very, very cool is they actually have robots that go around the hospital to deliver medicine. And at one point, I saw 2 robots doing battle with one another at UPMC. Like, literally, I'm going down the hallway, and I could see them behind me. The robots, if there's something in front of them, like say there's this giant-ass coffee cup in the middle of the hallway that's like the size of a human being, it'll come up to the coffee cup, and I'm saying that for those listening, there's a coffee cup here on the table. They will make a left, and they will avoid the coffee cup so they can keep moving. The problem was, at this point, there was a robot coming down the hallway one direction, and there was another robot going the other direction, and there was an obstacle, so the robot moved to avoid the obstacle and got caught by the other robot. And they just sat there for a few minutes, and then they literally started yelling at one another Like, you need to move, you need to move, you need to move, something of that sort. And it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. So I really do have to give UPMC credit for allowing me to see robots do battle,
fighting.
which is really, really something that I never thought I'd be able to see in my day and age.
Awesome.
Now, they are doing that. I know in Japan, they had the giant robot battle between the U.S. robot and the Japanese robot. I don't know who won. I never saw the results. But the fact that I can go to UPMC, I can go to McGee and watch robots doing battle. Hell, maybe they shouldn't pay taxes. Maybe that if they're going to put their money into battle dueling medicine delivering robots, that might be okay with me. But I do want to see property taxes rise. And, you know, I've gotten a lot of flack on Facebook for my demands for increased property taxes, but and one of the big things that people always bring up, one of the issues is, well, Brian, you're a renter. You don't pay property taxes. And I said, that's right. Somebody else should do it for me. I'm in favor of increased property taxes. Let's raise the property taxes. Let's hold these people accountable so good, upstanding renters like myself and you, that way we don't have to pay. Do us a favor. Pay your fair share. Let the rest of us freeload. That's all I'm asking. Is that too much to ask? I think the property taxes need to be raised. I think education is an important issue in this Commonwealth, and maybe that's where we can get the money to better fund our state universities. We could raise property taxes across the board on a state level, divvy that money up to the state universities so that way they can actually be affordable as they are supposed to be, and then the rest of us can go for free.
Bada bang.
Let's do it. And that is why I usually end the show with, this is why the world is coming to an end, but I think if we institute my property tax plan, we could say this is why the world is not going to come to an end. This is why the world is on the rise. This is why we, as a society, this is how we'll make it. We just got to stick it to the property owners. Because here's the thing. None of us that are millennials, we're all too poor to buy houses.
Yeah.
So, and you guys,
I just own a car,
who are
barely.
listening, who are not millennials, the people who are, let's say, 40 and older or 45 and older, you guys pulled out the credit card and put this country into crippling debt, and you blew the money too. You didn't even you didn't even put us in debt for something that was worthwhile.
You just handed it all over to Halliburton via Iraq.
Exactly. So this is your way to make it up to us.
Yep.
Let's raise your property taxes because you're the only ones that can afford property.
Get me
because
something nice.
You've ruined the system for the rest of us. And then we can use that money to better educate ourselves at a low price, and then we can change the world and make the world a better place. So on Tuesday,
Mikey needs a new Android.
On Tuesday, vote no that you do not, and that is actually serious. I would recommend that people vote no. I think that it does. You know, you need to pay for schooling somehow, and until we come up with a better option, property taxes is where it's at. But vote no, and then call your legislator and tell them that you want to see property taxes risen across the board. And you want to see another voter initiative next year that will raise property taxes on everyone that owns property, including UPMC, unless they decide to come out and make dueling robots for everyone.
Yeah.
If they do that, if we can have a robot...
In a more spectator fashion as well. I would like an arena, please.
That would be great. So we can...
Or like you
know
saw
what?
them in hilarious day-to-day activities would actually be better. I would like to see them arguing and fighting, out in front of the restaurant I work at, or...
Well, the Penguins are having a very hard time redeveloping the old Civic Arena site. So there we go. We've got prime real estate to build that.
Nailed it.
We can make it... Well, what we could do is we can make it an arena, kind of like a Star Trek arena. You know, whenever in Star Trek they zap the people from the starship and they put them into the game, and the aliens are watching from a TV somewhere else, and they're like living, like going through these weird trials and tribulations that aren't necessarily in an arena. It's almost like that normal everyday thing. We could do that with robots and have like viewing holes, or maybe those one-way windows like we're going to put in the planes at Delta, in case you missed it. Planes, sex cabins in planes, and then we'll have sex viewing seats where you can view the people having sex. We could do the similar thing with the robots where you pay a ticket to watch these robots interact.
You're all about the
distance.
callbacks today. I love it.
Yeah. So, speaking of calling back, we're going to go back to local music. if you're listening to us here Monday morning. If you're not, you're watching the video on Facebook. You can tune in to riversedgepgh.com right now for local original music. For Michael Cohen, for Zach Fell, I am Brian Crawford. This has been River Talk here on the River's Edge Radio Network, and I will catch all of you next week.